and a lot of leaders, as I said before, aren't even clear themselves on what are your key expectations. What are your key set of expectations for your people to be successful? And so as leaders, we need to get clear on that for ourselves first. Then second is to do the work of making sure that the team is clear and that we continue to focus on those things, and as leaders clear the way so that people can achieve them. If I have to have a tough conversation with somebody because they're not meeting deadlines, I need to have a conversation with them. And yet I also, and in that conversation, I'll reemphasize expectations and let them know what I've been observing. But I also need to have that conversation in a respectful human way. So that right there in the conversation is an opportunity to hold accountability while also doing it in a way that's inspiring and motivating for that person. Another example would be, let's say as a leader, I'm coming into my team and saying, hey, the organization is giving us this new change initiative. It's being handed down. We don't have a lot of choice in it, and we're going to need to accomplish it because it's really important. Well, that's a very accountability-minded sort of act because I'm being directive. And yet, as a leader, then what I can do to balance that is I can say, so since we know we need to do this thing, this change initiative, let's have a conversation and let's talk a little bit about what are the obstacles we foresee that we'll have to encounter and overcome. What are your ideas for how we can best implement this change initiative? So in that act, I have balanced the need of the organization for some results with also involving my people in the process of creating that result. Absolutely, and empathy is increasingly becoming identified as perhaps the most important quality of a good leader. And yet, as I say to leaders I work with in workshops and coaching, empathy, it's helpful not to think of empathy as an emotion because it's not an emotion. Empathy is operationalized by being willing to understand another person's perspective and point of view. And so in that sense, empathy is actually behavioral. I'm willing to listen to you, right? I see you don't like this change initiative. Well, tell me about your concerns, right? And that's an empathetic act because I'm wanting to understand and learn another person's perspective. They feel heard, and now they can perhaps help move through some of that resistance or concern, and we're in a better place for us to be able to work together towards that common goal.
Absolutely.